Hello everyone and welcome to video number 2, upper body exercises with exercise bands. So as I mentioned in the introduction video, during this video what we're going to do for the upper body is we're going to use the TheraBands. Now I want to talk about the TheraBands very quickly. A couple of safety measures. Anytime, whether it's the TheraBand, whether it's going to be a loop band, it does not matter. When you're using a band, before you begin exercises, I really want you to play around with it. Make sure that there's no tears, there's no rips, there's no holes. You really want to inspect the band thoroughly. Take a couple of minutes. If you've never had a band pop in your face because it's ripped, it's broken, it's not a fun experience. So make sure you just take those couple of minutes, stretch it from the width side, okay? Stretch it on the long side, check for any tears, watch for that, and just make sure. If you do uncover any holes or tears, I would tell you you're better off to get yourself a new band. It's not worth taking the risk and have the band snap and smack into your face. Trust me when I tell you, it's not a fun experience. The other thing I wanted to talk about just before we get started with the TheraBands is all the exercises. Before you do the exercise, I want you to do what we call a warm-up set. So when we're doing front raises, you're just going to do them like you would in the old videos, so no weight, just body weight. So you're going to do the exercises like you normally would, okay, without any resistance to the back, out to the side, okay, overhead, and you're going to go for those same rep ranges, 8 to 15. And what that does is, one, it preps your body for the movement that you're going to do, and it warms your body up. The other thing that I would recommend as well, prior to beginning actually partaking in any of the videos, take the time to sit and actually watch the videos first. That's where you're going to get the information about checking your bands. So when you actually start the video with a band, you're already going to know ahead of time, oh, did I check my band? Okay, you're already going to have the information about warming up first. And while we're talking about warm-up, really, really important, aside from just doing the exercises with no resistance or no weights, either the wrist weights, or even if you're using dumbbells, if you have dumbbells at home, you can do. It's really important that you warm up. The weather outside is fantastic, so I encourage you all of you without question, before starting, get outside, walk briskly for 5 minutes, walk back home for 5 minutes, make sure everything is set up and ready for you to go so you can dive into the video and you're warmed up and you're ready to go. And then doing that one warm-up set of the actual exercises is going to really, really reduce your risk potential for injury. Okay, so really important to get that. All right, I think I've covered the most important topics. Now, TheraBands. Your feet are actually going to be the anchor for your bands in most of these exercises. Actually, yeah, in most of them. There's a couple of exercises you're not going to have them under your feet. Okay, you can get comfortable in your chair. For some of you, sitting at the front of the chair is going to be great, but for some of you, you're going to find that you may need to sit back to have that extra support, and that's okay. Okay, remember, you're starting at your level, not mine or anyone else's, okay? A really important thing to remind you of here, if you're sitting at the back, or even if you're sitting at the front of the chair, you want to be sure that you're sitting up tall, okay? You don't want to be slouching like this. You don't want to be bent over. For some of you, if you're at the back of the chair, sitting up tall means you've got no support behind that midsection of the back and going up into the middle upper back, what we call the thoracic region. So the region I'm talking about is actually the thoracolumbar region. It's where your mid-back, the thorax, becomes the lumbar portion of the spine. You might need some additional support there, so it's okay to tuck something, a rolled up towel to give you that extra support. Don't worry, a small pillow, anything that will give you that support. The important thing to remember is that you're not doing this, okay, through the exercises. For some of you, this posture is already your posture, and that's okay, all right? So, if you're at the front, or if you're at the back, we're sitting, make sure when you're sitting on your chair, you can feel those two sit bones underneath you, okay? That's gonna let you know, you wanna be able to feel them both, okay? That's gonna let you know that you're balanced, all right? And then you're just gonna sit up tall. What we wanna make sure is that our rib cage is stacked over top of our pubic bone, okay? So we're stacked one on top of the other. We're not doing this. We're not leaning back. We're not arching in our back. So that's the thing for you. Always check where my rib cage is, okay? So let's get started. First exercise is going to be exactly that, the front raise. Now, a couple of things for you also to consider with the front raise. You can have your palm facing down, or you can have your palm facing inward, what we call neutral, okay? Either way is fine. Does it make a difference in the movement? It actually does. Your hand position affects the position in the shoulder. For some of you, having your palm facing down is going to feel tight. It might not feel comfortable. If you rotate, turn your hand with your palm inside, it actually might feel better. So that's a modification that you can make. If you notice that when you're doing a front raise, if your palm is down, okay, and it's uncomfortable, just try turning your palm inward and see if that frees up a little bit more space in the shoulder joint and makes the exercise a little bit more comfortable, okay? If there's any pain that continues, again, stop the exercise. All right, so we're gonna go through, remember, you're gonna do one set with no resistance whatsoever. The other thing that you want to take into consideration is when you're performing any of the upper body exercises, especially with the arms, okay, you can actually, there's two ways that you can perform them. There's one we call unilateral, which means it's one side at a time. This is actually easier, okay? Bilateral means we're doing both extremities at the same time. So if we're doing a bilateral front raise, it's going to look like this. If we're doing a unilateral front raise, it's going to look like this. You figure out what's most comfortable for you, okay? For some people, they like to alternate. That's fine. For some people, they like to do all the repetitions on one side and then go to the other side. That's fine too. Just know that when you're doing bilateral movements, both arms or both extremities are moving at the same time, it does take a little bit more work from your body, okay? Especially when you're using resistance, okay? When we start incorporating resistance into any movement pattern, it takes more effort, especially with the bilateral aspect, okay? So really important to have mentioned that. Now let's jump into this. Okay, first exercise. I'm going to be demonstrating everything unilateral because you know what you do to one side, you got to do it to the other, okay? And for ease of time, and I don't want to keep you in front of a video for an hour and a half or even an hour, I want to make this as short as possible for all of you so that you don't lose interest, okay? So I'm going to stick to the one exercise. I'll do a couple to let you know, a few repetitions just to let you know what it looks like alternating left and right, okay? The most important thing to talk about is the amount of resistance that you'll use with the TheraBand. So as I mentioned, what you're going to do is you're going to anchor the band under your feet. Now for some of you who've got rheumatoid arthritis, your grip may actually be affected. So what you can do is prior to anchoring the TheraBand under your feet, you can wrap the band around your hand, okay? Very, very easy. Then all you need to do is anchor it under your feet, okay? Now we're starting with the front raise. Now what you want to make sure of is, you see, it's on the outside. We don't want it trapped here on the inside. You might get your thumb trapped. That might feel uncomfortable. So just wrap it around and make sure the band, that part that's hanging down, is on the outside of your hand, okay? Even if you go that way, it's automatically going to go on the outside, okay? So you're going to be sitting here, and what you'll do is, now you're going to determine how much resistance feels good for you, okay? So you're going to play with it, okay? So we're down in this our arm is extended to our side, it's completely down, okay? And now you're gonna do a front raise. Now that's a lot of resistance right there, so I'm demonstrating so you understand. If you can't get beyond that point, too much resistance, okay? You wanna be able to go through the full range of motion. So what you do is you allow more band to come through to reduce the resistance, okay? Now watch, okay? Smooth and controlled, okay? So all I did was decrease the resistance. This is very, very comfortable for me. Contract going up. Now here's the kicker. Pause for a second, but come down really slow. Often, very often we see people work really hard to get the arm up, the lever up, but then they just let go. You want to be controlled and smooth going up and controlled and smooth going down. So the lifting phase is what we call the concentric phase, but the lowering phase is called the eccentric phase, and let me tell you, it is just as, if not more, important, okay? So really, really important, you guys, smooth and controlled at all times, okay? So then you're just gonna shift it over to the other side, wrap it around if you have rheumatoid arthritis and you feel like you need that extra, there's no problem with that. Have your hand down by your side, and remember, you're going for 8 to 15, and if you only make it to 6, that's fabulous. If you only make it to 4, that's fabulous. You're setting your foundation, okay? So we're gonna lift, under control, pause, small pause, and nice and slowly bring it back down, okay? And we're gonna lift, pause, small pause, doesn't have to be long. For those of you who like to be challenged and feel like you have the strength to do so, you can stay up there for a good 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, and bring it back down. So that's the front raise, okay? So that's what a unilateral lift would like. For a unilateral lift looks like, okay? For bilateral, you're gonna wanna make sure you've got equal resistance on both sides, okay? It's gonna be really important for you. For those of you who don't need to wrap the band, all you need to do, you can just grab it. Okay, so I'm going to show you, demonstrate. This side is wrapped, this side is not. Okay, so you can see both. So bilateral lift is going to look like this. Up, and you're going to slowly bring it down. Okay, and up, and you're going to slowly bring it down. Another important cue for all of you, when you're lifting, do not go higher than your shoulder. There's no need for that. Bring your markers are your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, bring them into alignment, all 3, and just bring it back down. That's all you need. You don't need to be straining to get way up here, especially if that's not your natural range of motion. If you don't have that ability, you don't have that range of motion, you're actually, if you're using resistance and you try to force it, you're actually going to increase your risk potential for injury, okay? So remember that. You want to make sure those 3 points are lined up. That's as far as you have to go. Wrist, elbow, and shoulder in alignment. You don't have to go higher, okay? Really important. So that's the front raise. Now with the back raise, you're basically coming out of the same position, okay? Except now you're going to take the band backwards, okay? Find your resistance. Find what works for you. If that's too much, lift your feet, add more band and bring it back. More band and bring it back. Same principle applies here. You got to wrap it, no problem. Go back, okay? And back. Same on the other side. 1. Controlled movements. Slow, controlled movements. You do not want to be tugging and pulling and jerking, and it just slow and controlled movements at all time, okay? So that's 1 at a time. Unilateral, bilateral, looks very much the same like the front, just to the back. And again, that's a harder move, so I would really suggest for all of you to stick with 1 extremity at a time, okay? The next one that we're going to do is going to be the side raise. Now, for some of you, the side raise is really going to be easy in terms of, so if you want to use your warm-up using both sides, that's fine too. Otherwise, just warm up 1 side at a time. There you go. and you're going for those same rep ranges. Again, it's to lubricate the shoulder joint. It's to just get it really nice and warm for what's about to come, okay? So with the side raise, the lateral raise, same thing. Find your tension. Take a moment to play with it. Can I lift this way? Am I comfortable? If not, give yourself more resistance band, okay? And 2, control it coming down. Really, really important, guys. You gotta control it coming down, okay? That's gonna be 4. Now, I'm getting a one-sided workout here, so I'm gonna shift over to this side because I don't wanna be off balance, okay? Remember what you do to one side, you definitely have to do to the other, okay? And come down. Even though the resistance is decreasing on this side as I get closer, I'm still controlling the movement, okay? Really, really important, okay? Now we're gonna go to the overhead, okay? So in the overhead, so for the overhead, so even down here, you don't need to be up at 90 degrees. Start down here at a nice 30, 45 degree angle and push up and bring it back down. And push up and bring it back down. That's your warm up, okay? Can I do one side at a time, Ariana? You absolutely can. There's no reason why you cannot transfer this over to a unilateral raise. Feel comfortable. If you're good this way, great. If you prefer one side, that's fine too, okay? So now going to overhead, 2 feet on the band is going to provide a lot of resistance because you're really stretching that band up overhead, okay? So you're going to go to maybe 1 foot, okay? See how that feels, okay? So again, you're going to, for those of you who are going to wrap the band, you really want to be using a light band, okay? Like this is, and again, the TheraBands are pretty standard. So there I am at my 45 degree angle. Take your strongest leg. My right leg is my stronger leg. I know it looks like my left in the video because you're seeing me in the opposite direction, but I'm actually anchoring the band with my right leg, okay? I'm going to get my left leg out of the way because I don't want it interfering. And lift and bring it back down. And lift and bring it back down. Remember, guys, lift, control it coming down. And remember, if you have high blood pressure, any cardiac conditions, you want to make sure you clear this exercise with your general practitioner and or your cardiologist if you have one, okay? For some of you, this exercise, you probably won't make it up to 8 in the first, and that's okay, all right? So what have we covered? So we did front raise, we did a back raise, we've done a side raise, we've done overhead. So we've hit the whole shoulder region, okay? So what we're gonna hit now is we're gonna target the chest muscles, and then the opposing muscle group to the chest is our upper back. So how are we gonna do our chest? Very easily. We're gonna take the TheraBand, okay? We're gonna put it behind our back, bring it under our armpits, okay? So you've got your palms. Again, I'm not up here at 90 degrees. I don't need to be. 30, 45 degree angle is perfect. You've got the TheraBand through your hand, so your hands are facing forward. Your TheraBand is coming through the thumbs. You can grab it, okay? And all you're going to do is push and bring it back. Push and bring it back. 3. Again, here too, lots of control, guys, on motion, okay? So you're pushing and gently bringing it back. And pushing and gently bringing it back. Okay? Awesome. For your upper back, the upper middle back, what you're going to do, well, we pushed it, we had it behind us, now we want to hit the back. Yes, we're going to have the band in front of us. This is a really simple exercise. So simple. You're going to take the band in front. You're going to anchor it on your thumbs to start, grab a hold of it, your palms are facing down. All you're going to do is, now you want to pull your hands apart. Pull that band and bring it back in, okay? And pull that band and bring it back in. And pull, and again, remember, control it coming back. Really, really important that you control it coming back. And think about those shoulder blades, pulling them back together, okay? Pulling them back together, all right? It's a very simple exercise, very, very simple, okay? Your hands, again, check those markers. Wrist, elbow, shoulders are in alignment. You don't need to be up here. You can actually, for some of you, being up here with those 3 markers in place might not be comfortable. So if you've got to lower it, that's fine too. Don't worry about being right up here, okay? So now we're going to hit our biceps, okay? Really easy to do this as well, gang. Anchor it again under your 2 feet, okay? Your hand position, your palm is going to be facing in, okay? You're going to grab a hold of that band. For those of you with rheumatoid arthritis, you can loop it. And even those of you without, you might find looping it's going to feel a little bit more comfortable. Your starting position, the arm is going to be down at your side, okay? Lift and lower, okay? Make sure the band is secured tightly, okay? Lift, under control, lower it back down, and lift, and lower, and lift, and lower. And one last time, I'm only doing 4, okay? And then on the opposing side, there you go. Adjust your band, find that tension, there you go. You might find, if you're right side dominant, you might find that you're on the left side, you're going to have to decrease. You can't use the same amount of resistance. And that's perfectly normal, because those of us who are right side dominant tend to be weaker on the left side, and those of us who are left side dominant tend to be weaker on the right side. And those of us who are dominant on both sides, well, guess what? You're lucky. Okay? So that's the bicep work. So what does a bilateral bicep curl look like? Well, for those of you who are curious, let's give it a shot. Okay? Remember, your bands are, and you're pulling up, and you're lowering it down. Up, and down. Up, and down. Okay? That's awesome. Now we're going to go to the tricep. For the tricep is really easy. Your starting position is going to be bent, okay? Bent elbow. Keep that elbow at your side. I'm going to turn just to give you guys a view of what that looks like, okay? We don't want our elbows out here, okay? We want it at our side. We're looking for 90-degree angle here, okay? I'm going to get right to the edge of the chair so I don't knock my hand, okay? The motion is back and really contract at the back, okay? And back. And so that's for the tricep. Keep that elbow in at your side and don't worry about it, okay? Actually, I'm going to stay on the side so you guys can see this from the side. It might be better for you. You can remain seated at home when you're doing it, but I just want you to have a view of it from here, okay? So you're going to anchor your band and create your resistance. And there you go. You'll feel, if you have enough resistance, you're definitely going to feel it in your tricep, okay? And again, smooth and controlled all the time, okay? So what does that look like from the front? Very, very easy. From the front, you're going to, you might have to decrease the resistance front-wise, might be different for you, and then back, okay? And then back. So your starting point is bent elbow, in at the side, and just straighten and contract towards the back. You'll feel it in your tricep, I promise you. If your tricep is working, you will feel it. So we did bicep, we did tricep, we did chest, we did upper back, we did shoulders. We've covered the basic movement patterns, which for most of you is going to be absolutely fantastic. Again, guys, know your health status. Be comfortable in your exercises. It's not worth taking any risks. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot off an email to Jeanette. If you need me to answer a question, she'll forward it off to me, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. I hope this video has been beneficial. I hope you will use it. I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.